Have you ever wondered what it takes to turn a nation from a backwater island into a global powerhouse of culture and creativity? It takes a leader of immense charisma, intelligence, and a little bit of theatrical flair. Today, we're diving into the dazzling era of Queen Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, and exploring how she didn't just rule England, she reinvented it, sparking the flame of the English Renaissance. Imagine this. It's the mid-16th century. England is a mess. Religious turmoil has torn the country apart. The treasury is empty, and powerful neighbors like Spain and France are circling like sharks. Into this chaos steps a young woman, just 25 years old, with fiery red hair and an even fierier spirit. This was Elizabeth Tudor. Her very claim to the throne was controversial. She was the daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, the wife he broke with the Catholic Church to marry, and later executed. Many considered Elizabeth illegitimate. From day one, her reign was a high-wire act. But Elizabeth wasn't just a survivor, she was a strategist. One of her first and most brilliant moves was the Elizabethan religious settlement. Instead of forcing everyone to be strictly Protestant or Catholic, she created a middle way, a Church of England that blended elements of both. This wasn't a perfect solution, and it didn't please everyone, but it brought a crucial period of relative peace and stability. With people less focused on fighting over religion, they could finally focus on other things, like creating art, writing plays, and exploring the world. And this is where the magic really begins. Elizabeth understood the power of image. In an age without social media or television, she used her own persona as a tool of her elaborate gowns, her intricate jewelry, her carefully crafted portraits, they weren't just fashion statements. They were propaganda. They projected an image of a powerful, divine, and eternally youthful ruler, married not to a foreign prince, but to a kingdom of England. This cult of personality, the cult of Gloriana, inspired a generation. Poets like Edmund Spenser wrote epic poems like the Fairy Queen in her honor, casting her as a mythical goddess-like figure. Courtiers vied for her favor not just with political maneuvering, but with poetry and music. The court itself became a hotbed of cultural innovation. It was the place to be, the center of fashion, wit, and artistic patronage. Elizabeth was a discerning patron of the arts. She loved music, she loved dancing, and most importantly for our story, she loved the theater. Before Elizabeth, English theater was mostly simple religious plays performed in town squares. But under her reign, something extraordinary happened. The first permanent public playhouses were built in London. The theater, the curtain, the rose, and of course, the globe. These weren't stuffy, elite venues. They were rowdy, exciting places where people from all walks of life, from the poorest apprentice to the wealthiest noble, could gather to be entertained. This explosion in demand for new plays created the perfect environment for a group of hugely talented writers to emerge. They were known as the university witsmen like Christopher Marlowe, whose plays like Dr. Faustus shocked and thrilled audiences with their dark ambition and magnificent poetry. They pushed the boundaries of what was possible on stage. And then, of course, there was the man from Stratford-upon-Avon, William Shakespeare. It's impossible to talk about the English Renaissance without him. Shakespeare didn't just write plays. He captured the very essence of the human experience. His comedies, his tragedies, his histories, they were all written and performed during Elizabeth's golden age. Plays like A Midsummer Night's Dream, Romeo and Juliet, and Hamlet were shaped by the energy, the language, and the intellectual curiosity of the Elizabethan era. Would we have Shakespeare as we know him without the stable, culturally vibrant London that Elizabeth helped create? It's hard to imagine, but the Renaissance wasn't just confined to the stage and the page. It was an age of adventure and discovery. While Elizabeth was famously cautious about spending money, she was clever enough to unofficially support privateersmen we might call pirates today, like Sir Francis Drake. These sea dogs raided Spanish treasure ships returning from the New World, bringing incredible wealth back to England. Drake's circumnavigation of the globe wasn't just a feat of exploration. It was a defiant act that put England on the map as a serious naval power. This new confidence in wealth fueled a sense of national pride that was palpable. The climax of this came in 1588, with the defeat of the Spanish Armada. King Philip II of Spain sent a massive fleet to invade England and depose the Protestant queen. On paper, England stood no chance, but a combination of English naval skill, terrible weather, the famous Protestant wind, and sheer determination led to a stunning victory. Elizabeth, dressed in armor, delivered one of the most famous speeches in English history to her troops at Tilbury, declaring she had the heart and stomach of a king, and of a king of England too. The victory was a massive propaganda win. It cemented the legend of Elizabeth and the idea of England as a small, defiant nation chosen by God. This flourishing culture wasn't just about the elites. Thanks to the printing press, literacy was on the rise. Pamphlets, poems, and plays could be printed and distributed more widely than ever before. Ideas were spreading. The English language itself was exploding with creativity, absorbing new words from Latin, French, and Italian. Shakespeare alone is credited with inventing over 1,700 of our common words. It was a time when the very tools of expression were being forged. So, how did one queen oversee such a dramatic transformation? Elizabeth was a master of balance. She balanced Protestants and Catholics. She balanced the power of her ambitious courtiers. She balanced the need for peace with the desire for glory. She managed to stay on the throne for nearly 45 years, providing the long-term stability that a cultural golden age needs to blossom. When Elizabeth died in 1603, she left behind a country that was fundamentally different from the one she had inherited. It was more confident, more prosperous, more literate, and bursting with a cultural energy that would echo down the centuries. The world had been given Shakespeare, Marlowe, and Spencer. England was no longer a fringe player on the European stage. It was a budding empire with a rich and powerful national identity. The Elizabethan era shows us that a renaissance isn't just about artists and thinkers. It requires a leader who can create the right conditions, peace, pride, and a belief that great things are possible. Queen Elizabeth I was that leader. She was the architect of an age, a queen who proved that the pennant, the paintbrush, and the playwright's script could be just as mighty as the sword. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey back to Elizabethan England, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most fascinating moments. Let us know in the comments which historical figure you'd like to see us cover next. See you in the next video.